Welcome to Catholic Views. I'm your host, Renee Kranz. On today's show, we will have Bishop Don Kettler in the studio for the first time. He's going to come in and talk to us about the Transfiguration of Jesus, which is this Sunday. Bishop Kettler was the Bishop of St. Cloud, yes? Minnesota, where Dr. Bergwald's from. And he retired recently and moved back to Sioux Falls. So we're super happy to have him in for the first time here. So first we have some biblical bites with Dr. B. I've been gone for a while, so I haven't seen Dr. Bergwald for a while.
It's true.
He was gone, then I was gone.
Oh, yeah.
It's been like almost a month, like 3 weeks.
The Minnesotan there came out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It has been a while since, so it's good to see you, Renee.
Nice to see you. Nice to be seen.
Bishop, so you mentioned, so this Sunday, normally this, I was, you wouldn't have, if I would have said, Renee, what's today, you would have said the
16th Sunday, I think, isn't 15th or 16th, in theory, of ordinary time. What? I know it's the Transfiguration, but like I would have ordinarily said if I didn't know that, I would have said,
18th.
It's like the
18th
16th,
Sunday, 18th Sunday in ordinary time. But the Transfiguration trumps the 18th Sunday in ordinary time.
Right.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I was saying like if I didn't know
if
what
you
I was.
Didn't know, but you did know. So Bishop
I
Kettler,
looked at the calendar.
Bishop Kettler, his time in St. Cloud, Minnesota, it was sort of like going up the mountain of the Transfiguration with Jesus.
Oh.
But then he had to come back down.
Wow. To real life.
I'm kidding. This is true. Well, almost. I have almost been in South Dakota longer than I was in my home state of Minnesota.
Isn't that funny when that happens?
Yeah.
Because I was thinking the other day, I've lived in Sioux Falls longer than I've lived any place else.
Yeah, so Sioux Falls, that's true for me. Mm-hmm. I've definitely lived in Sioux Falls longer than I lived anywhere else.
Right.
In the house I grew up in and so on.
Almost
or this
combined.
town I grew up in even.
Yeah. No, not combined.
Right.
I'm older than that.
So anyway, we're not here to talk about our lives growing up or anything. Transfiguration. What I want to focus on is actually the second reading from Mass for the Transfiguration. So we get Matthew's account in the Gospel of the Transfiguration. I want to focus on, I was struck by, when I was looking over the readings, struck by the second reading, which is from the second letter of St. Peter. So, of course, St. Peter is one of the guys who went up the mountain with Jesus. One of the three apostles, Peter, James, and John. Peter, James, and John went up the mountain with Jesus. So this is what he writes in his second letter. It says, chapter 1, verses 16 through 19. Beloved, we did not follow cleverly devised myths when we made known to you the power and coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, but we have been eyewitnesses of his majesty. For he received honor and glory from God the Father when that unique declaration came to him from the majestic glory. This is my beloved Son. This is my Son, my beloved, with whom I am well pleased. We ourselves heard this voice come from heaven while we were with him on the holy mountain. Moreover, we possess the prophetic message that is altogether reliable. You will do well to be attentive to it, as to a lamp shining in a dark place, until day dawns and the morning star rises in your hearts.
So before you start, usually the second reading doesn't really connect to anything.
Right.
It totally does.
We talk about all that all the time.
Yeah.
But in this case, the second reading absolutely connects. Mm-hmm. So St. Peter, and this is, so Peter's letters and John's letters. So the letters of the two apostles who were, and Jude, it's a very short letter of Jude, the apostles who lived, part of Jesus' public ministry. So Peter and John were on the mountain.
Right.
I don't think John speaks about the Transfiguration. This is one of the most interesting times when we have one of the New Testament authors literally offering commentary on something that we read about in the Gospels.
Oh, right.
So
yeah.
Peter's not commenting on Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John.
Right, because it didn't exist.
Right,
yet.
but he's speaking about the same thing that they wrote about when they described the Transfiguration. Right. So there's just things I want to emphasize. The way he starts off, beloved, we did not follow cleverly devised myths when we made known to you the power and coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, but we had been eyewitnesses of his majesty. Mm-hmm. So just, a lot of people have said this, but it still needs to be, it still bears repeating because too many people don't recognize it. Right. Christianity is not a myth.
Right.
Jesus Christ is not a figure from a fairy tale. Of a nice story that some people tell their children. Jesus Christ was and is real and alive, and the events that we read about, like in the Gospels, like the Transfiguration, actually happened in history.
Right.
To be Christian is not to follow cleverly devised myths.
Right.
And Peter goes on, we had been eyewitnesses of his majesty. So, and John does do the same thing in his letters. Here, Peter emphasizes, no, I'm writing to you, telling you about things that I saw, and in this case, that I heard. Together with James and John, I heard the Father say, this is my Son, my beloved, with whom I am well pleased. We heard the voice come from heaven while we were with him on the holy mountain. What we follow as Christians, what we believe in, is something that really happened. I think you've heard me probably before, Renee, refer to this question that I came across years ago. Do I really believe that what I believe is really real?
Yeah. Yeah.
The Transfiguration is not just some nice story that we tell ourselves for some reason because Father said so, or Bishop said so, or Pope said so, or Sister said so. No, it's telling us. It's a narration. It's a telling of a historical event. Jesus Christ went on that mountain with Peter, James, and John. This stuff really happened.
Yep. Not a myth at all.
Not a myth.
Thanks, Dr. B.
You bet.